So before I go watch the sunset, it just felt like I needed to come shift a little bit of perspective, give a little bit of perspective, and to help you see how I also see the world. So a lot of conversations, we must avoid trying to fight when we are confronting things because we are here to learn. We are all storytellers in our own way, right? We all have a particular voice to use. So we don't argue what is right and wrong because you have a version of what is right. You have a certain method of what is right for you. And I have a certain way in which, the way in which I've lived my life, the way I've gone through certain experiences, there have been certain things that I can take that are similar to other people, and then there are things that just won't work for me. Okay. There was a talk that I shared sometime about, first and foremost, God is experience and discovery. So God is experience through discovery. There was this part that said that it is not God who's made, what it is, something about God in the image, or let us make man in our image, in our image. And then there was this part where it said it's not that God has made man in God's image, man has made God in their image. Something along those lines. You can add if there's anything you know about that. So three words came in to speak about today: judgment, religion, ubungoma, religion, spirituality, and then foundation. So before I continue, I'm going to break this up into different parts, of course. And then when you are going deeper into this conversation, we take a journey, right? Because these physical bodies hold our spiritual essence and our physical essence together. So as you are already, you are a portal. You are a portal into a certain bit of information that I don't know about because of your life experiences. Same with you with mine. That's why I said we're not here to argue, we're here to learn. And if we can argue less and open up the space to learn more, we would have less of the pain that we are experiencing in the world. Okay, so we're just here to help each other. So, first and foremost, judgment and observation. So, Judgment Day is here now. There's no Judgment Day that is coming as this big Judgment Day that you have to fear. Judgment Day is happening now. Time is very fluid and it's not what the human has constructed it to be like, right? Because even now, if I speak about something or whatever I have said thus far, you could have taken information from the past and you're already not here within this conversation. You somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? So you've time traveled somewhere else. So when you are making an observation, you have to make a judgment. A judgment is like your robot. There must be a judgment everywhere because when you're making a judgment, it has to be, do I take a left, do I take a right? It's basically when you're making a judgment, it creates movement. Anything outside of judgment could cause stagnancy, right? Now, obviously, yes, we can go into the law of the societal general grading of what is right and wrong. So there's that, but then there's also what is right and wrong for you according to the that linear sort of path, right? Because as much of people that exist in the world, there are as many points of view. Okay. So we have a socialized right and wrong and general guide because that is, I'll go back to what I said about the neurotypical pathway. But unfortunately, when we look at different institutions, they don't necessarily allow for the neurodivergent the neurodivergent, what is trying to come out? Truth, reasoning, resonance, because it's different to the linear. Okay, so this is going quite differently than I thought. Okay, let's just continue with it. So if I become aware of something that is happening around me, that means the fact that I am aware of something, I am making an observation. And even if it's not on the highest conscious level, it is on a certain conscious level, right? You must understand that when we move into spirituality or religion or science and the arts, we are holding tension between the highs and the lows. The highs and the lows is fear and joy and peace at the top. That is what love is. It holds space between what is comfortable and what is uncomfortable. And it's going to constantly change, right? So if I become aware of something, even if it's not now, it might be later, but even that later is still now. I am making an observation for a judgment to be made of how do I move forward. Because even if we are in these physical bodies, we are still representing a certain energy. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, I could present an energy that provides comfort for you, or I could be an energy that provides or is mirroring discomfort for you. Now, what you take from that mirror, you feel judged, but I'm not judging you, if that makes sense. Yes, of course, you get those cases where people are enforcing, and that goes into unhealed and healed wounds. Okay, so I'm aware. Because I am observing, I become aware. Yes, I'm observing, so I become aware, or I'm aware and I'm observing what I'm aware of, those two. Then I need to make a judgment of what is this energy, what do I need to judge so that I can move forward with this information. Because remember, when we're breathing in and when we're breathing out, it's all information that we are processing, right? So let's just take a deep breath. So you feel a different way. That is information being processed. Now take a deep breath again. This time you're going to breathe in, hold the breath as long as you feel comfortable, and then exhale. Okay. So all of that, just by that, is already information that you became aware of something, you observed it, and you made a judgment of how it made you feel. What you feel is emotion, which is energy in motion. So once again, I'm mirroring you. I'm either going to mirror something that you feel as comfortable or uncomfortable. And that is what love is. It holds space between the tension of like and like love, or dislike and like, and then fear and love. Fear in the sliding scale of fear and joy and peace, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's a collective read with this. It might not make sense now, but let it trickle. Don't force it to like make sense now. So that's judgment and observation. So if I'm making an observation about something, about like your left shoulder is higher than your right shoulder, right? I'm aware of something because of something that has made me feel as I'm looking at you. Now, because of whatever insecurity you might have, you feel judged as if it's something that I don't accept within you. Now, once again, of course, there are people who overtly come and try to make you feel that you are unacceptable and that you don't belong, right? So then what that happens is it mirrors back into a certain belief system that you have within yourself, that I don't feel good enough. So the good enough feeling, or I don't feel good enough feeling, is set up on a certain foundation and belief system that you have that comes from your childhood. So it takes us into the third one, and then I'll go into the second one. The third one is foundation. So there's this thing in the Bible where it says, you must build your house upon a rock. So anything that you are doing to hold a strong foundation must be built on steady ground. Okay? The firmer your foundation, the less restructuring and readjusting, same word, when you have to now start building your walls, your pillars, basically your house. It must be set on a strong foundation. Now, what is a strong foundation? Your strong foundation is everything that is of God. God and love, holding tension between that. Now, healing comes into this space where you need to understand love, once again, is holding space between the fear, the joy, and peace. Low scale, high scale. Fear, joy, peace. It holds tension. When you are met with fear, your light needs to alchemize this tension and let it vibrate higher. What happens is, because of the lack of belief in self, and this feeling of I am not good enough, that's the story you are trying to create evidence for. So even if you can come get someone who will tell you you're so handsome and you're so beautiful, but you won't believe it because your story is I am not handsome and I'm not believe it because I am not good enough. If you believe it, and when you start healing and start believing that you are good enough, you feel and exude a certain confidence. Even your body posture becomes completely different. So you see, this is like, I'm not feeling too confident. This is, I'm feeling confident. Okay. So that goes into understanding the wisdom of the body too. So you must set your foundation on being able to heal the parts of you that are uncomfortable. That's love. It holds space, and it holds space for unconditionality, even to the point where it says, I remember when I got this definition, and it was like actually understanding from my experience. Love, unconditional love, is loving someone through their conditions and not yours. But you can't have condition without uncondition. So, just because you love someone, it doesn't mean that you need to be like this. You could love someone from afar. In fact, sometimes it is even better to love them from afar, because the two of you together, it doesn't create, because of a lack of understanding of how to connect with each other and what love is and what love isn't, there's friction. So that's why some people can merge and work out their differences, and then some people find over time that it's just better that we're not together no matter how much we love each other. And usually when you have that level of love which can't hold space for liking self, then it's more control. So more of what people have in the unhealed space is, you have love that is control. Because no matter how much someone can love you, and you look at different relationships that you've had, right? No matter how much someone has loved you, if you don't love yourself, liking and loving, liking basically means to love, because you're accepting all of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. That you might point at someone somebody else has, but unfortunately, whether you like it or not, this is you. The work is about here. No one can make you happy. You have to be able to go to your source, go to God, deal with your issues, and then come to this person and go, this is my reflection. Upon reflection of how I was participating, this is what I have. And then you can leave a whole lot of room to ask for forgiveness because you apologize on playing your part. And it's not about being right or wrong. It's about finding growth between the union and the relationship that you guys have. So that's why it becomes very important to have intentional relationships by being kinder to yourself and more intentional with yourself. Okay. So strong foundation is important. Now let's go to religion and ubungoma, because it's been coming in this space of you hearing a lot of people who have a spiritual calling. And the thing is, we're all called spiritually to share a certain part of our gifts. Now, we all have varying degree of gifts. We can't now want what someone else has because it's so unique for from their family lineage and what was passed down from them for them to be able to help heal in this time space reality, right? So you too have your own certain calling. Something is calling you, and a calling is just basically God asking you to use your gifts that you have. But you can only understand your gifts if you are discovering through experience. Remember, I said God is a discovery through experience. You can't name God, you can't genderify God. God is, it's all encompassing love for the parts of you that you like and the parts of you that you don't like, for the parts that are comfortable and the parts that are very uncomfortable. It holds space for that tension from close and from afar. But it doesn't mean just because it's close, it's love, and from afar, that it's not love. It can be both depending on the condition of your heart. So that's why the condition of your heart needs to be based on love, holding the tension between what you like and what you don't like. Because all of this is you. I'm just reminding you, all of this that is happening in the world is also you, right? Then we tap into Ubuntu with that. I am because you are. Okay? We can't be blaming each other. We all have a role to play in a society. And up until we learn how to take responsibility for ourselves, then we take back the power God has given to us instead of find someone else who's also going through their own problems. So no matter whether you're a healer, pastor, or someone in a high position in leadership, no matter what, they had to go through life experiences, and they are currently going through life experiences because that is life. I am not immune to pain. Everybody goes through pain. So when you give your power away to anyone other than God, basically, if you give your power away to anyone other than God, then you are leaving a whole lot of room for human play, human fault, whatever, through experience. Okay. So the main thing you need to set your heart on is the foundation of God, and understand that this needs to come from God. Do not rely on a human who's also going through their own things within the space as they are also trying to understand the world. Okay, so that's a completely different conversation, but it's all part of this conversation. When you look at the word religion, now I had to look up different definitions here just so you can understand. When I go back to, there's this neurotypical and then there's neurodivergent. How I explained it in the one video was that this is neurotypical, there's like a certain linear path. But what unfortunately sometimes neurotypical doesn't consider is that there's this, there's this, there's this, there's this, there's this, and all other that I can't mention. Now, even in just because on one level this is neurotypical, this also could be neurotypical for somebody. This also could be neurotypical. This also could be neurotypical. I mean, yeah. And this could be neurotypical. And then this is also neurotypical. And all that means is, I go back to what I said, as much as there are many people there are many different experiences. So we must learn to honor everybody's experience. We must learn to honor that everybody comes from God. We must get to honor that just because we come from God, it doesn't mean that everybody has a pure heart. You have to purify your heart through tapping deeper into the love of God, holding space for comfort once again and discomfort. So different I'm getting this, just take a break on that one. Okay. So religion from one word means obligation, bond, and reverence. From the Latin, the etymology of this. And then the original of it means to bind. Now, what are you binding? It means to connect. Binding can also mean to create a cell and a jail. Okay. So binding could mean, let's connect. Binding could also be like that. Okay, so it's different energy and motion. It creates a different emotive feeling. Then religion also means a pursuit or interest followed with great devotion. It is also a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe. That's another. Another definition, a personal set or institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices. And then another one is the service and worship of God or the supernatural. So already everybody's got a very different definition. Now, who's to say, because this comes from different dictionaries, who's to say which one is right? That's why I said look at neurotypical. This is also neurotypical. Okay, so we need to start learning that our differences have more connection, then I need to keep you in a cell. So instead of this capturing someone, do this, connect. And even sometimes it has to just be like this, like, tickle, like, ooh, you know? Okay, so then we go into religion, and it's a set of beliefs, a certain way in which you are able to, that have been tried and tested, ways in which you connect to God. Okay. Jesus wasn't even Christian, first and foremost. Okay. We have the Bible, which was written by man. So you must understand that anything that comes from man has so many different interpretations. Already, when we look at the Bible, there are so many different types of there are different interpretations of the Bible. Okay. So already that is telling us that there is going to be variation. Now, we look at spirituality and ubungoma. Now, spirituality is also like love. It is able to hold the tension between the two spaces, once again, of what you like, what you don't like, what is comfortable, what is uncomfortable. Now, ubungoma is to be with song, to be with song, to be with song. It's a calling. It's to be with song. It's to be with your voice. Sangoma is someone who is a diviner and a healer. It's obviously also divided into like sangoma and then inyanga. Okay, so I won't go like too deep into this. I want to go more into what I was trying to go into, ubungoma, sangoma. So ubungoma is call to song, to use your song, and sangoma, divine and healer, it also means the person of the drum. So interpret to person of the drum. Okay. So what is this? When you are calling something, there is sound. Sound. So when in the beginning God created the earth, there was darkness. Then there was an idea. Something came into sound through that idea, because you are hearing something. And even if you don't hear it by like pitch, you hear it through feeling, right? So you feel something, and that is also a certain sound, because sound, what it does is it allows for expansion and it allows for contraction. It allows for the natural rhythm of how we breathe. So we breathe like how we did earlier. We breathe in and we breathe out. Now, at the end of the day, divination, ubungoma, is about learning alchemy, learning how to hold the tension between fear, joy, and the sliding scale of love. Being able to hold tension between what you like, what you don't like, what you prefer, what you don't prefer, what makes you comfortable, what makes you uncomfortable. So when we get someone who is designated to be a sangoma, what we hear now is we're getting a lot of people now moving into Christianity and talking about how evil like ubungoma is. We go back to the foundation of everything is pure. God created it. The interpretation of the human, this is where we come to understanding the misuse of gifts. Okay, this is where people abuse their gifts. They abuse the power that they have been gifted here on earth. You can see from any foundation is like a almost like a pyramid, or like a structure of a rectangle, really, any sort of like shape, but there has to be a foundation. So if it's funneling with information, it's always going to go like this. It's cyclical. So no matter what sort of shape it takes, it's always going to go. Then there's also, so it's cyclical as it flows, and as it flows, it's going to take different shapes. That's why the study of water. If you look at this one Chinese man from years ago who studied water, and I don't know if he's still alive, but if you go into YouTube, check of what shapes water, what happens with water. Now we look at sound and water. We are predominantly water, okay, and then we have other different types of nutrients and minerals and all this other stuff that makes us, that makes our human makeup, right? I don't want to go into that because now I'm just looking at time and I'm like, whoa. Thank you if you stayed this far. So when you see like other izangoma, like talking about like sangoma, being a sangoma is like evil, and now they're moving back into Christianity, you can't wait. Let me just say this: no matter where you go, there you are. So no matter what thing exists, it's the humans who, through their confusion, have created a certain thing into being, right? It's a human who thinks it, or who has been conditioned into this, sorted out as this is bad and this is good, because it's what keeps us safe. Okay. So we must allow, I will say once again, we must allow for diversity. We must allow ourselves to be able to not fight over what our experiences are, because we don't know the pain people are sitting with the experiences that they've had, and then someone gets to classify them only to make them feel safe and unacceptable. So this thing of ubungoma, like I said, it's song, it's called to hear these ideas that are coming from a creative space and then coming into physical manifestation. Okay, so there's so many topics to talk about like this, but I want to talk about the condition of your heart and go back to it. No matter where you go, whether you go back into Christianity, whether you go into Islam or Hinduism, whatever religion you decide to back away from spirituality, life is about merging the spiritual realm with the higher realm. What is above, so below. As above, so below. As within, so without. You are balancing the worlds between the head and the heart. And that's what's challenging, is that when you, as a person who is called to lead, your wounds have kept you in that low vibration, you then term that thing as bad. And this is where I think I need to do another talk with this one, actually, because it goes into that foundation. What is the condition of your heart? Everything is based on the condition of your heart. Ubungoma was here long before it was here. It's here. It's been here for so long, but we've ignored it. And rightfully so, because we must have contrast. And alchemy needs contrast so that it is able to shift any low vibrational energy to high vibrational energy. And up until we can say and admit that we are being purified, we are being cleansed, we can accept ourselves. Don't call anything bad just because it didn't work for you anymore, and it exposed your heart, because everything that we have been gifted here on earth to create and recreate and whatever it is else that we're alchemizing, it's about revealing the condition of your heart. So the condition of your heart is about the judgment that you're making on yourself, which is every single moment that we're breathing in and that we're breathing out, that we holding fear, and we're not allowing for joy to be experienced. Okay, I think I've said quite a bit with that one, and I hope it resonates. If it doesn't resonate, don't try make it fit, and observe when you feel angry. Like, what is it that is making you angry, and are you trying to share more of you, or you're trying to be more right than you're trying to understand? Okay, because that's where Ubuntu comes in again. I am because you are, and that comes into the namaste. I see you. And if we can't allow ourselves to be seen, then we push the world so that we can create safety for ourselves. I hope this conversation, for those of you who have stayed up until this far, have just realized that everything is judgment, religion, spirituality, the combination between the higher realms, the spiritual realms, and the physical realms, that information, the space between the head and the heart is being exposed in physical form right now. So heal. That's why it's important to heal. And it will fit when it needs to fit. Do not make it fit. If you do want a personal reading for yourself and you just like, I in honesty, don't like myself. I need help. How do I learn to like myself so that I can fully love all of who I am? Then send me a DM or email me can.we.talk.mandisa@gmail.com. Okay. And this is how we help each other heal, by just learning through our stories, not cutting off your stories. Because the moment you're cutting somebody off, you're cutting an aspect of your truth too. So that's where the discomfort is. Love all that is unconditionally. Accept who you are. Accept the power and your gifts that you've been granted here on earth to have and express in your own unique way. Okay? You have your unique way. Do not try copy somebody else because they have their own unique way. Instead, celebrate their uniqueness. Let's start celebrating each other for our differences, because our differences empower us more than they separate us. But the conditioning of the world and the matrix, it's all part of it, is to help you, give you choice. Which side, which wolf are you going to feed? I think I've said a lot.